Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started this evening. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us and welcome to another episode of the Wild Sheep webinar series. I'm Amanda Verhule, the Executive Director of the National Bighorn Sheep Center. Our mission is to provide education and outreach for the national conservation of wild sheep, wildlife, and wildlands. I would like to thank our partners and viewers for your support. Tonight in our Wild Sheep webinar series, I'm excited to present the Wyoming Hunger Initiative. This program aims to prevent food insecurity in Wyoming by increasing awareness for the and support for the work of local anti-hunger organizations through innovative programs and partnerships. The Sheep Center is all about partnerships. Here, we aim to keep our wild spaces wild, and hunting plays a large part in conservation. Food from the Field is a hunger initiative program that creates partnerships between hunters, processors, and participating agencies to streamline game meat donations to food pantries statewide. My family values hunting in the outdoors, and we are grateful for the harvest of fish and game. At times, we would have struggled to put quality meals on the table if not for hunting. I believe in sharing this organic, sustainable food with friends and family who need food. This is a value and a tradition that I want future generations and my children to experience. Tonight, we will hear from Wyoming's First Lady, Jenny Gordon. Jenny grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, until her family moved to Buffalo, Wyoming. The First Lady received her bachelor's degree in health sciences from the University of Wyoming. She worked for 15 years as a laboratory medical technologist at Sheridan Memorial Hospital. She later served as the field service representative for Abbott Laboratories. When Governor Matthew H. Mead was appointed to serve as Wyoming's treasurer in 2012, Jenny took over full-time management of Merlin Ranch. The ranch has garnered national recognition for its environmental stewardship and conservation achievements and efforts to promote the sale of Wyoming beef worldwide. Jenny previously served on the Wyoming Stock Growers Land Trust Board and as Wyoming Leadership Education and Development class graduate. In October of 2019, Jenny launched the Wyoming Hunger Initiative, whose mission is to end hunger in Wyoming. This evening, the Wyoming Hunger Initiative Regional Director, Sierra Mitchell, will also be with us. Sierra founded the Afton Food Pantry in 2016. The pantry has grown to include refrigerators, freezers, fresh produce, meat, bread, and non-perishable food items that are distributed weekly. To date, over 29,000 individuals have benefited from its efforts. We will also hear from the Game and Fish Department's Wildlife Management Coordinator and Laramie Region Biologist, Martin Hicks. Ever since a hunt in college, Martin Hicks has been drawn to bighorn sheep. As the Wheatland Wildlife Biologist, he is part of the Bighorn Sheep Research Team. He serves on the Bighorn Sheep Working Group for the Western Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies. Without further ado, I would like to hand it over to First Lady Jenny Gordon.
Well, thank you and good evening. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I really appreciate Sierra and Martin joining us to share their knowledge with you all tonight. And I want to start a little bit with the Hunger Initiative, and I'll go very brief and then really dig into our Food from the Field program. The Hunger Initiative was launched because as I traveled around the state, I realized how many folks were in need. About 83,000 of our neighbors struggle with food insecurity. Is it going? Sorry. Oh, okay, there we go. Excuse me. So the reason why I'm very passionate about food insecurity is I grew up in a very large family. I'm the second to the youngest, and both of my parents were very food insecure. So as we sat around the table at night, we realized that we were grateful for what we had. We were to never waste anything and to give back if we had the opportunity. So with that in mind and hearing how much need there was in the state, the Hunger Initiative was launched. It is a 501c3 nonprofit that does not accept any state or federal funding. Everything we do is with donations from individuals, foundations, and corporations. I have a very powerful board of director group. They have been a working group and have been with us from the start, who really have their heart and soul to fight food insecurity in Wyoming. We do have 6 regional directors, of which one is Sierra, who's on here tonight. But these are really the boots on the ground folks that are working in the field that connect with all of the agencies in their area. And for some of them, they help to transport the game meat in the program. And Sierra has been there from the very beginning. And so that's why I thought she'd be a great partner to bring on tonight to talk about that. We do a lot of other programs besides food from the field, but tonight I'm going to be exclusively talking about food from the field. But just to share with you, these are all Wyoming solutions to the challenge of hunger in our state. So we have a gardening program called Grow a Little Extra. We also do domestic proteins, which is our food from the farm and ranch. And we also help to help defray the cost of school lunch debt for kids that may not have be on the free or reduced lunch program, but their family still is not able to pay for their entire meals. So we really are have a lot of programs. The infrastructure grant is also another program, and that just opened up. So if anyone has need in their communities for a grant to help them get some sort of infrastructure, a freezer, a fridge, shelving, that's a program that we also offer. So the Food from the Field program is really was launched in 2020. And it really is a way to share that bounty. Many people who like to hunt maybe don't want to have all of the meat or want to share that, or maybe they're getting an extra tag. And so we partnered with the organizations working in this field. Of course, Game and Fish has been a huge partner. They have been with us from the beginning to help work out all the bugs in standing up a program like this. And the thing I'm really proud about is that we started with doing the testing for chronic wasting disease from the get-go. So we don't have to go back with our processors and try to work that in, because it can take a little bit to get those tests back. And Game and Fish has been wonderful to prioritize those tests for us. So the result gets immediately back to the processor. And so we're getting just the best type of meat into the program. Department of Agriculture has been wonderful as well, making sure that the regulations are met so that we can bring game meat into pantries throughout the state. And we have a partner in Admiral Beverage who will bring refrigerated trucks to processors if they don't have enough room to hold the carcasses until they're tested. So we're really grateful for this amazing partnership. We also have 12 partner processors, and they're located throughout the state, which is wonderful, so people don't have to travel so far when they want to go ahead and donate their meat. And they're, like I say, these processors are kind of the linchpin. We're so proud to partner with them, and we want to make sure that they are able to do their program. So we ask them, what is it you need? How do we work with you? And they have all come on board and been just amazing partners. Game and Fish, another thing that they have done for us is to include in every successful tag recipient's tag, what they receive in their mail, a flyer about food from the field. And so that is a really great way to get that program out to folks that they're aware of it. And they can get on the website, check out who their processors are. And that's been really beneficial, especially for our out-of-state hunters. And this program is wholly funded through the sales of, or the raffling off of Game and Fish Commissioner tags. And we've been so blessed to receive those tags. This year, we were able to receive 2 tags from Commissioner John Masterson and from Commissioner Ashley Lundvall. And we do a rally up tag raffle. And so that way for $100, you can go ahead and get a raffle ticket. So it is accessible to everyone. And then once the recipient wins, they are notified and we're able to get them their tag so they can have a successful hunt in Wyoming. So here are some of the numbers, and it just shows really the growth of the program since 2020. We only had a couple processors on board free the first year, so it was a bit challenging. It was also the year that it was very difficult to find processors because of the pandemic. So we started small, but we were able to work out the bugs. And of course, every year it's continued to grow. Fortunately, we've worked with Game and Fish. There's been a few depredation hunts on some of the big ranches that wanted to get some of the elk off of their ranches. So we've been able to get the poundage up pretty exponentially in 2022, 2023, and 2024. We also, monitor the chronic wasting disease test, and so we get that information back. And then below is the species breakdown, which is, I know that, bighorn sheep would be a species you would be particularly interested in. I don't know how many tags, this might be Martin's wheelhouse, that are issued a year, but we have had 5 bighorn sheep donated to the Food from the Field program. There's Sierra and her beautiful family. This has been a few years ago. Your kids have grown up considerably. But what was great about Sierra doing this is that she had, her family obviously has hunted a lot, but this was her first harvest and she wanted to do it to donate to the program. And I just love the enthusiasm, and obviously she was successful and got a great animal to harvest. We also work with the Ladies Antelope Hunt, which is done annually over in Ucross, and I'm a hunter there as well. So I've been able to donate my harvest as well. And we're just proud to work with them and get that game meat into pantries. It's distributed very near to where the processors are. So if you're giving where you're living, which I think a lot of people like to do, they want to make sure that the game meat stays in the area of which they're hunting. And then I've got a video I'd love to share with you. It's not super long, but it sort of encompasses what the program is and why we started it.
I don't think we're hearing audio on this video.
You're just hearing the audio?
We see the video, but no audio. Ah.
Any suggestions?
Play it again. Here, start over, because I think you just turned up the volume. Still am not hearing the audio.
You can just send it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and send the audio out to you, because these technical things can sometimes be very stressful to try to fix online. So we will get that video sent out to you. So really, if you have a hungry child, you're going to have a hungry family and probably a hungry senior and a hungry veteran. And so that's what the Hunger Initiative is all about, is helping our neighbors here in Wyoming to get through those struggles and really give them the dignity and give them a good, wholesome food that will round out their, nutrition, especially for children and seniors. And it's great, healthy food. In many cases, the food from the field can be as close to as organic as one can possibly get. So that is why we started this project and why we are so proud of the work that we've done to get the game meat program out into the state of Wyoming and share that bounty that we all are so happy to harvest in Wyoming.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, First Lady Gordon. It's a fantastic program. And one option too would be that you might want to email me the video and I could share it on my end with the audio to see if we could get that to work.
Okay.
Okay, and now Sierra or Martin, I didn't know if you had any presentation, but maybe something that you'd like to share with us this evening.
Sierra Letty's first, if you would like to start.
I knew you were going to do that, Martin. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. My name is Sierra Mitchell. I'm over here in Afton, Wyoming. And in 2016, I saw a need in our community to start a food bank. I didn't know anything about food banks and I didn't know about food insecurity. I just saw that families were hungry and I thought I could do something about it. What's really cool is since then, and I'm gonna have to have our numbers updated, we've actually helped over 37,000 individuals in our community in just 9 years. And it really starts by starting small, but starting somewhere. And it's actually why I love the Hunger Initiative. It started small, but it at least started somewhere and it just grew from there. A lot of people don't know that prior to Food from the Field, food banks were not allowed to accept game meat donations. And that was something that we thought was very important because I come from a hunting family. My husband hunts. As our children have hit the right age, they've been hunting. And so we were a little discouraged to not be able to donate through the food bank. But then, as we all do, we just find a neighbor or a friend that could use extra game meat if we had it, and we would just donate it that way. So when First Lady came to visit my agency, it started this process of first becoming her regional director, but then opening different programs that not just I got to be a part of, but then my family. So as my boys came of age, I took hunter safety with them and I was able to have my first hunt. And with 4 of us hunting, we have a lot of meat all of a sudden when we each fill our tag, which is a great problem to have. But what was super great is that Food from the Field started, and it was an avenue in which we could then donate our game meat that we had an abundance of. It turned around, it would get processed, and then it would come back to agencies just like mine. As a food bank, I can tell you protein is one of the most expensive items to provide a family. And at times we just couldn't through the Afton Food Pantry because that bill is very expensive. So all of a sudden we were able to accept game meat because of the partnerships with the Hunger Initiative, Game and Fish, who ensured with the proper chronic waste disease testing, these animals would be healthy for individuals to consume. And then Food Bank of Wyoming jumped on board. So it wasn't until that collaboration happened that the door was even opened. And so once Food from the Field got streamlined, I got to be one of the tester communities because luckily I had a processor who jumped right on board, which is the most pivotal part of this entire program, is getting a processor who believes in the mission of what we're doing and supporting it. So luckily, from day one of this program, I had a processor and we worked out a lot of kinks. We had no idea what we were all doing for the first little bit, but we had the idea to make this happen. I have the honor of picking up the game meat donations, storing them at my facility, which happened thanks to First Lady and the Hunger Initiative, who gave us a grant to purchase the extra freezers that would be needed to store the extra meat. And then I get to hand deliver it to agencies on my side of the state. It's really an incredible partnership between the initiative, local processors, pantries, but also the hunters. This always happens. All of my children, both my boys have been able to donate through this program. And last year, as my son hunted my youngest for the first time, he was so discouraged after not being able to fill his deer tag after multiple tries. And he said, Mom, I just want to help a local family. And that's because he's, for the last 9 years of his life, has served right alongside of us. And he knows exactly who's going to get that meat if he can fill his tag. And on the last day of elk season, he was able to fill his tag. And to watch my son have such joy knowing he gets to be a part of something greater than himself that benefits a family or a friend he may know in our community. That's really the heart of what this program is. And it's probably why it's one of my most favorite. my children are young. They only have a little bit of time and effort to give, but through the Food from the Field program, they've both been able to give an animal every single year for the last 3 years. And that really has made my mommy heart happy, but knowing that they could give back. And what's really unique about this program is that a lot of our donors are youth. The more we can talk to those youth, I have 4 hunters. We fill that freezer very quickly and we have an abundance. So this program lets donors give that so it can benefit someone else. And it's really incredible to watch the youth step up and be almost our biggest donor to that program. And I love watching them donate year after year, knowing that they're part of solving food insecurity here in our state. And I even send them all a letter and let them know exactly where their animal went and how it was able to make a difference for someone. So this program is near and dear to my heart. I am so thankful for the partnerships that made this happen, because 5 years ago, we couldn't accept those game meat animals. And yet we know the heart of Wyoming people, which is to give what they can when they can. And this program just helped to facilitate that. So I love it so much. I'm thankful as a food bank to receive this incredible protein that I then get to turn around and give out every single week. And I will tell you, it will stick with me. A patron said that game meat is a part of home. It's what they know and it's comfort. And so the game meat actually goes out faster than ground beef at my food pantry because it's what our patrons are familiar with and it's a piece of home. So it's just a great program that we hope continues to grow over the next few years.
Well, thank you so much, Sierra, for sharing, and Jenny as well. Martin, you're on.
Thank you for having me. First off, I just need to thank the First Lady for coming up with this idea. It's been an incredible adventure. I was fortunate enough to get on the ground floor in 2020 when it first came out. I thought, what a great way to. A lot of our times, our hunters come to Wyoming and even resident hunters, and they have an overabundance of harvest. Not illegally, but they have so many tags, and sometimes they'd like to give their food, that wild meat, that wild protein to someone, and it can be hard to facilitate that. And when I found out about this program, I thought, what an incredible opportunity for the Game and Fish Department, the Department of Ag, and the First Lady to work together to get that important protein out to folks. And probably more importantly is in the past when processors would donate the food out, a lot of times they would just donate the carcass out to folks that need that meat, and that can be overwhelming. Here's a carcass. Now you need to figure out how to cut and wrap that, and to the point where it can be discouraging for folks. And so, what even better way to this? We're going to take care of all the cutting and wrapping for you, and it's right there to start consuming. So, what an incredible program! I was blessed to try to get some folks in Platte and Laramie counties to come to and meet with the First Lady and get them on board. We had success for some and not success for others. Some processors, they have a way of giving out meat that folks don't want. They can donate the meat. That's not an issue. It's not a legal issue. And so they add their own particular way. But other processors are like, yeah, this is a great idea. And so we stepped in as a department to figure out how to facilitate getting them healthy animals. So chronic wasting disease is part of our deer herds. And it started in Southeast Wyoming. And so recommendations from CDC, World Health Organization, is if an animal is positive for chronic wasting disease, their recommendation is to dispatch that meat, get rid of that carcass. And so we're not human health experts, we're wildlife experts. So we go based on what World Health Organization and CDC says. So if it's negative, that's not a healthy animal. Or if it's positive, that's not a healthy animal. And we don't want to send that animal to somebody that's unaware, first of all, unaware of disease, and then there is that potential risk. And so we want to avoid that risk. And so our health lab in Laramie does an outstanding job of turning around testing for these carcasses that are going to be donated. They put a rush on them. Typically, it can take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks to get those results back. Jessica Jennings and her staff at the Wyoming Health Lab do an amazing job of getting that turned around in 2 to 3 days. They bring it to the top of the pile, make sure those get tested first. So those carcasses aren't sitting in the processors, cold storage, taking up space. That is a concern for several processors. Like, I don't have enough room for what I already have, and now you're trying to make me save animals until you get a test back, and who knows when that test is going to get back. So they understand that. Our lab understands that, and they have a quick turnaround time. So it works very well. We've had situations where right now we're elk rich and deer poor in the state, and pronghorn are more or less coming out of the winter of 22-23, but we still don't have a lot of pronghorn, but we do have a lot of elk. In fact, we have too many elk in certain portions of the state. And so, as the First Lady alluded to, we have done some different programs to reduce elk populations. And those elk that we took out of the population all went to the food from the field, and it couldn't have worked out any better for us, for the folks receiving that food. And so we'll continue to do those as to try to reduce elk populations, but we've also seen an uptick in just from hunters learning about the program. It takes a while for these things word to spread, and it is spread. And folks, I spend a lot of time all fall checking big game hunters, collecting data, and they all comment on what a great program this is, and how can they help. They just want to donate. And so we've been blessed to be partners with this in the beginning, and continue to support, and whatever we can do to help out, that's where we're at. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, all of you. We don't have a ton of participation live right now. Unfortunately, there's a bit on Facebook, on our Facebook Live page. Well, my personal page, because Facebook Live on our Sheep Center page wasn't working all that well this evening. But I just want to open it up right now for questions. And just to make a comment too, I've worked in other states where things like this weren't possible and weren't available. So thank you so much for coming together and making this possible, because it's a beautiful, amazing program. And we're just so fortunate to live in this amazing state where we can do this program. All right, any questions? I'm going to check online here and see if we have any coming in online. See if we have any. And I'm not seeing any that are coming in. Obviously, you've answered all the questions. I didn't see the video that had come, let's see here, to my email. I just want to double check and see. Trista did share that with me. So let me see if I can quick find that video. FFT Field Short. So give me one moment. Let me pull this up and I can share that video.
How do you find the outfitters to participate? And are you adding more?
Hi, Beth, are you talking about outfitters or processors?
I'm sorry, processors, yes.
That's a great question. So as Martin alluded to, often the game and fish folks will go with us if they've been identified as being interested in the program. And we can go and kind of explain how it works, make sure they understand how the paperwork has to be completed, and reassure them how quickly the tests get back. And now that we have many processors on board, we do a lot of peer-to-peer processing, question and answer sessions. So if someone is interested, they can get their questions answered by someone who knows about the program.
What an amazing program.
I have a question for Martin. So Martin, can you tell us what you do with confiscations now and what you used to do with confiscations when you ran into a hunter that had some issues?
So that's a tricky one. Thank you for that question, First Lady. If we can get it turned around and and pay their fine, a lot of times it goes into evidence. And so they have to retain it as evidence. But if there's certain situations where we can, we got what we needed, the case is solved and the carcass is still there and we can donate that out, we absolutely will. And the easiest play to do that is just to take it to one of the processors that are going to do it, cut and wrap it and get it out to a food pantry. That's the best way to do those things.
To add on to what Martin just said, our local game and fish wardens are actually one of the biggest donors to this program because we've been able to get those confiscations. And I will tell you, our local game warden said it lands a little bit easier when I tell the hunter, but it's gonna get donated. So that's actually how we've gotten 2 moose off for this program. Is sadly some out-of-state hunters mistook it for a different type of an animal. And now we got 2 moose, which provided over 180 pounds per moose to the local food pantries. So the game wardens are a big crucial piece to this because, like you say, you do see sometimes those confiscations or an accidental something happened. And I'm lucky enough to have 2 processors in my community. And so the game wardens knowing of the processors that they're participating in this program is actually helping to facilitate where that meat goes. And then Beth, to answer, to add on to the question you had, some of our agencies or counties don't have a processor. And so for instance, since Lincoln County is sitting on 2 processors, the meat that comes into those 2 agencies, I then share with the counties that I'm over as regional director because some of them do not have, actually the other counties that I cover do not have a local processor who's participating in this program. So they're still able to get the food from the field game, even if they don't have a local processor. And that's where the regional directors come into play to facilitate moving that game meat to benefit all counties, regardless if a processor is directly there or not. And that's really been something super unique, especially since, like, for instance, on my side of the state, Uinta County has some of the highest patron numbers. So they need more protein to go into their agencies. And so as the food from the field comes in, I just make sure we kick some of those counties with higher numbers, more protein during that season, which can help feed the families that are coming more to those areas. So it's great that it can be shared even if a local processor has not jumped on board.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
I have a quick question here. This one is pointed at Martin before I play the video, because I think I've gotten the video up here and we can play that. But just, I know we talked about the World Health Organization and CWD not being able to serve that food, of course, but what about bighorn sheep with MOVI, Mycoplasma pneumoniae? I mean, I know that seems like it's a little safer because the disease is a bit different, being that it's in the lungs. Is that a possibility at all for the future for those sheep who had to be put down due to disease?
Yeah, so sheep are a different critter, I should say. They don't, there's enough species separation that we've not seen sheep come down with any clinical signs of chronic wasting disease. It's just in the deer family. But yeah, sheep, one of our big health issues with sheep is pneumonia, and there's plenty of pathogens out there, but they're not a human health risk like CWD is. And so we have donated sheep to the program that we had to removed from the population because there was that threat of disease spreading, risk of bringing a wandering sheep that was out in an area that we weren't sure if it had come into contact with other animals that might pass on these pathogens. And so when we see these wandering sheep, our protocol is to remove them. We remove one sheep to save the herd is how we look at it. If they came back into the herd and had any of those different pathogens and pass them off to naive or sheep that weren't used to those diseases. You can have a total herd die-off. And so we've had to remove some of those sheep, and that's where when the first lady had that slide up with the spreadsheet showing bighorn sheep, those were sheep that we had to remove. We did test them for pneumonia, but we're not concerned about that going out to the public. That's not a health safety issue. And so they went right to food from the field, and then some lucky people got to experience sheep for probably the first time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Martin.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and play this video. Let me know if you cannot hear the audio.
A lot of people don't realize, I mean, unless you've really gotten hungry, it takes a lot out of you. Wears you out trying to worry about all your kids and making sure that they're all fed. And I'm a single mother, so it's even scarier there.
We have widows and widowers in our elderly groups that don't have enough food in their cupboards. And 1 in 5 children do not know where their next meal is coming from.
I was probably between 5 and 6 years old, and my stepdad and I used to have some tree stands set up on a walking trail. Every night after school, when we had a chance, he'd come pick me up from school and we'd hike in. It wasn't very far. I would sit on the platform of the tree stand and we'd sit there until dark. Well, just the times we're spending with family members or friends or people that you just met. It's just memories you'll never forget for a lifetime.
You're taking our community here who loves to hunt and who also loves to help, and you're mixing both of those together. And now we're able to give out at least 2 pounds of game meat per week to local families.
I don't think people realize how many people are out there in need, and it's just really awesome how many people have stepped up to help with this program to make it work.
I really feel like that is a very indigenous organic thing that hunters, that they like sharing. Being able to donate to somebody that doesn't have enough to eat, that's the ultimate.
My 12-year-old son gets to hunt for the first time this year, and I am so excited that he will be able to take his passion for hunting and also be able to help local families. I get to teach him that it doesn't matter how young he is, he still has the ability to help somebody in our community, and that's what Food from the Field is all about.
Sierra, she's really awesome. She is here every week with a big smile on her face and greeting everybody and making sure that everybody has what they need. We're really privileged to be able to come here and get help. So it's wonderful.
We didn't invent anything new here. We just made it easier for Wyoming people to do what they've always done. To use the bounty of this beautiful state to help their neighbors.
Wow. That's truly amazing. So I just want to open it up again to any thoughts or questions, but that was absolutely touching, and I'm just so grateful for all the work that you're doing, and kind of a call to action to others. You know, join in this cause. It's incredible. It's amazing that there are that many people who are still going hungry, you know, throughout our state and throughout the nation. And this is a way that we can join together to help. So the website, Sierra or First Lady, would you let us know where we can go to do more?
Sure. So the website is nohungerwyo.org. And if you click on the programs tab, you'll see all of our programs, but that will have the Food from the Field information. And I want to say that every time I watch that video, when Sierra speaks, I get emotional because it is just so tangible, the feeling, and what she's done in her community is amazing. You know, starting with no knowledge of a pantry and building it up to what it is. So Sierra, my hat's off to you, and your passion is really obvious. And you know, Martin and I, we did go to some processors. As he said, they were not all successful, But we learned a lot from each of the processors, because as they're changing their program to do a program like this, they are taking up some of their locker spaces. And if they have a positive chronic wasting disease, if they're not compensated for it, they have to do the disposal at their cost. So we've built that into the program. If they do have a positive, we do pay for any of those disposal charges. So really, Martin, that was a great trip, even though it wasn't successful, because we learned so much. And as Sierra said, if you don't have the processors on board, this program is just not possible. So we every year we bring our processors and game and fish folks. Martin's been here quite a few times, and our regional directors, and talk about the program and what we could do better and what the bottlenecks are. And so really, anytime anyone sees something that is not working well, we talk about it. And I think that's why this program has been successful.
Thank you. And Darren, did you have a question?
Actually, not just a comment in general. I'm Canadian, so our system is probably a little different than this. I actually am not aware of what we have in this light, but I think one of the things that we can't underestimate with this kind of a program is the impact it makes to non-hunters about the value of hunting in a general sense as well. And I commend you for that.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And thank you for that compliment, but it really is a team effort, and we're blessed to have the team we do. So thank you.
I think I love this program because I look hunger in its face every single Thursday night when I open my pantry. And to know that people donated their abundance that they're sitting on so that some other family could have 2 to 4 pounds of protein is vital. The other part of the program is the Hunger Initiative pays for the processing of that game. So then there's no cost to my pantry to receive this incredible animal that was gifted from the hunter. It just is a way I can give out protein to families that come. And I think I have to tie it back into just our incredible hunters that support this program, from the out-of-state ones to our youth, first-time hunters that wanted to give what they could. And if we can keep them coming back and supporting this program, but it's also important that we educate them how impactful they are to this. And then our great processors that believe wholeheartedly in this mission and take on extra animals during the heart of their busiest season. It's really an incredible program. And I think we always have to mention that hunger does exist, whether you want to believe it or not. And it exists in every community here in Wyoming. And we're just here to fight it. And we're starting with one game animal at a time.
And then if I can just touch on that, what Sierra said, not only, I'm sure in Canada, everywhere in the US, we have a problem with recruitment, retention of hunters, and she's a living legacy that she got her kids into hunting, and I can guarantee you that her kids are probably going to continue to hunt. And this program was a big thing to show what hunting and harvesting an animal does for the community. So these partnerships are amazing. So I can't thank First Lady and Sierra enough for what they've done.
Absolutely. Well, I'll echo that and just end, with partnerships in general, just please, if you're an organization that could partner with the Wyoming Hunger Initiative or hunger initiatives in your state or your country, please encourage you to join that. And thank you for joining us today, everyone. Really appreciate this. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end the Zoom. Thanks again. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.